Alright, and shalom. Welcome to Cover with Jeremy Pyers. So today it's part 5 of Jubilees. And if you've been with us, you'll notice it's an amazing book. It's full of a lot of information. You know, test everything. I've tested it. We're testing it now. It's it's following scriptures. So just welcome everybody. Let's just see. All right. Excuse me. So we'll jump right into the reading. Let's see. So we left off in chapter 10, just before chapter 10, chapter 9. So we'll be starting at chapter 10. And alright. So chapter 10. And in the third week of this Jubilee, the unclean devils began to lead astray the children of the sons of Noah, and to make to err and destroy them. And the sons of Noah came to Noah their father, and they told him concerning the devils which were leading astray, and blinding, and slaying his sons. So these are those unclean spirits of the Nephilim. After they were destroyed, their spirits, they're just stuck on earth. That's where they are. They became the devils and the unclean spirits, the demons. And he prayed before Yahweh Eloheinu, and said, Elohim of the Ruachath, of all flesh, who has shown mercy unto me, and has saved me and my sons from the waters of the flood, and has not caused me to perish, as you did the sons of perdition. For your grace has been great towards me, and great has been your mercy to my soul. Let your grace lift up upon my sons, and let not wicked Ruachath rule over them, lest they should destroy them from the earth. But do you bless me and my sons, that we may increase and multiply and replenish the earth? And you know how your watchers, the fathers of these Ruachath, acted in my day. Yep, see, this is what we just went over. Or I kind of explained, actually, I should say. And for these Ruachath, which are living, imprison them and hold them fast in the place of condemnation, and let them not bring destruction on the sons of your servant, my Elohim. For these are malignant and created in order to destroy. And let them not rule over the Ruachath of the living, for you alone can exercise dominion over them. And let them not have power over the sons of the righteous from henceforth and forevermore. And Yahweh Eloheinu bade us to bind all. And the chief of the Ruachath, Mastema, came and said, Yahweh, Creator, let some of them remain before me, and let them hearken to my voice, and do all that I shall say unto them. For if some of them are not left to me, I shall not be able to execute the power of my will on the sons of men. For these are my corruption. For these are for corruption, and leading astray before my judgment. For great is the wickedness of the sons of men. And he said, Let the 10th part of them remain before him, and let 9 parts descend into the place of condemnation. And one of us he commanded, that we should tell Noah all their medicines, for he knew that they would not walk in uprightness, nor strive in righteousness. So if you kind of notice right here, He says 1/10 of them still remain, and the other 9 parts were condemned. So only 1/10 of them remain. Can you imagine if they all still remained? That's why. That's why Noah was begging him. Get rid of these guys. And we did according to all his words. All the malignant evil ones we bound in the place of condemnation, and 1/10 part of them we left, that they might be subject before Satan on the earth. And we explained to Noah all the medicines of their diseases, together with their seductions, how he might heal them with herbs of the earth. So there we go. More talk about how the herbs of the earth are for healing diseases, the ones caused by these evil spirits and Satan. That's why when we read Revelation, it said the whole world is deceived by drug pharmakia, all the man-made drugs in the pharmacies that were basically, these evil spirits showed men how to make these drugs and that's how these big pharmacy companies, etc., all came about. They have this monopoly. They pay doctors to prescribe certain medications. Like it's all disgusting and just for money. They don't care about your health. Stay away from pharmakia. And Noach wrote down all the things in a sefer as we instructed him concerning every kind of medicine. I want to find this instruction that he wrote down of medicine. If anyone knows the name, that'd be amazing. Thus the evil Ruach were precluded from hurting the sons of Noah. And he gave all that he had written to Shem, his eldest son, for he loved him exceedingly above all his sons. And Noah slept with his fathers, and was buried on Mount Labor in the land of Ararat. 950 years he completed in his life, 19 Jubilees and 2 weeks and 5 years. And all his life on earth he excelled the children of men, save Hanok, or Enoch, because of the righteousness wherein he was perfect. For Hanok's office was ordained for a testimony to the generations of the world, so that he should recount all the deeds of generation unto generation until the day of judgment. So it's pretty interesting. A lot of people like to throw out Jubilees and Enoch, not understanding that they explain a lot of things and bring it all into context. And there is too many people that do lift up the book of Enoch and just put it on this pedestal and take it way out of context without even having read Jubilees. So we're not even deep into Jubilees yet. But later on down the road, it'll start explaining the calendars and it'll bring context into Enoch, what the book of Enoch describes, and what he describes in his book as the calendar. There's too many people that throw this out because, it says, you can't even have sex on the Sabbath. There's a lot of people that throw it out just for that reason. Because they're greedy. Oh, wait, I can't have sex on the Sabbath? Oh, screw that. Yeah, no. It's supposed to be a set-apart day for him anyway. You shouldn't really be doing that on his set-apart day anyway. And that's just my thinking. There's 6 other days. You can't hold off for one? Anyway. And in the 313th Jubilee in the first year in the second week, Peleg took to himself a woman, whose name was Lomna, the daughter of Sinar, and she bore him a son in the 4th year of this week, and he called his name Ru, for he said, Behold, the children of men have become evil through the wicked purpose of building for themselves a city and a tower in the land of Shinar. For they departed from the land of Ararat eastward to Shinar, for in his days they built the city and the tower, saying, Go to, let us ascend thereby into heaven. So if you didn't know by now, it's talking about Babylon and the Tower of Babylon. This is before Yahweh separated and all languages, separated the people and gave them different languages and confused them. And they began to build, and in the 4th week they made brick with fire. And the bricks served them for stone, and the clay with which they cemented them together was asphalt, which comes out of the sea, and out of the fountains of water in the land of Shinar. It's pretty interesting. This isn't like asphalt on the streets as we know it today. It's a different type. I've been looking into all kinds of things, and I got a couple opinions on what it could be. You know, there's this it's this liquefaction effect that happens to soil, and like it's just this. It's black and like tarry like asphalt, but it's really just like sand and clay. And when you shake it enough, like earthquakes and such, it'll liquefy it. And then once it stops shaking, it solidifies. It's interesting. I don't know if that's what this is talking about, but I'm just saying I've been studying some things. Interesting. Anyway. And they built it 43 years, and they were building it. Its breadth was 203 bricks, and the height of a brick was the third of one. Its height amounted to 5,433 cubits, 2 palms, and the extent of one wall was 13 stades, and of the others 30 stades. So, I mean, you can go check out the people who've done the math on this thing. This thing was huge, like miles wide, miles tall, like crazy stuff. And Yahweh Eloheinu said unto us, Behold, they are one people, and this they began to do, and now nothing will be withheld from them. Go to, let us go down, and confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech, and that they may be dispersed into cities and nations. And one purpose will no longer abide with them until the day of judgment. So this is when he dispersed the people in the languages. This is how all the different languages came about. All the different peoples, they just got split up, went to different parts of the world. Languages went with each one. This is also Nimrod, who ruled Babylon at this period, which we've read about. And this is how his name got changed, not only from Nimrod, but to, like Isis and these Egyptian names and Babylonian names and Greek names, and it's all the same person that they're speaking about, like Apollo, such like that. It's speaking about Nimrod, and you can research that out. It's pretty amazing. And Yahweh descended, and we descended with him to see the city and the tower which the children of men had built. And he confounded their language, and they no longer understood one another's speech. And they ceased then to build the city and the tower. Excuse me. For this reason, the whole land of Shinar is called Babel. Interesting. Because Yahweh did there confound all the language of the children of men. And from thence they were dispersed into their cities, each according to his language and his nation. And Yahweh sent a mighty wind against the tower, and overthrew it upon the earth. And behold, it was between Ashur and Babel, in the land of Shinar, and they called its name Overthrow. Pretty interesting. So that stuff I was just talking about, right? You vibrate it, like make noise, give pressure, whatever, and it'll liquefy under that. So this wind vibrating it, did it just liquefy the whole thing, like tip it over, and it became some mountain between Ashur and Babel? I'm gonna have to do some more research on that, actually. See if there's like a mountain there. Like, I'm sure there would be no traces of it looking like a tower. But if there's like a mound, like a giant long mountain or some sort, I don't know, I'm gonna do some research on that. In the 4th week, in the 1st year, in the beginning thereof, in the 413th Jubilee, were they dispersed from the land of Shinar. And Ham and his sons went into the land which he was to occupy, which he acquired as his portion in the land of the south. And Canaan saw the land of Lebanon to the river of Mitzrayim, that it was very good. And he went not into the land of his inheritance to the west, that is to the sea. And he dwelt in the land of Lebanon, eastward and westward from the border of the Jordan, and from the border of the sea. So this is also another reason why all the Canaanites and the Hites, they had to be abolished and taken out of that land. They all knew this at that time as well. That whole factor has been hidden and confused. And Ham and his father, and Cush and Mitzrayim, his brothers, said unto him, You have settled in a land which is not yours, and which did not fall to us by lot. Do not do so, for if you do so, you and your sons will fall in the land and be accursed through sedition. For by sedition ye have settled, and by sedition will your children fall, and you shall be rooted out forever. Yep, exactly what I was explaining. Dwell not in the dwelling of Shem, for to Shem and to his sons did it come by their lot. Cursed are you, and cursed shall you be beyond all the sons of Noah, by the curse which we bound ourselves, by an oath in the presence of the holy judge, and in the presence of Noah our father. But he did not hearken unto them, and dwelt in the land of Lebanon, from Hamath to the entering of Mitzrayim, he and his sons until this day. And for this reason that land is named Canaan. Yep, so they were warned, and they didn't listen, which is why when Joshua and all them came through and wiped them out, this is exactly why. And Japheth and his sons went towards the sea and dwelt in the land of their portion. And Medai saw the land of the sea, and it did not please him. And he begged a portion from Elam, and Ashur, and Arpachshad, his woman's brother. And he dwelt in the land of Medai, near to his woman's brother until this day. And he called his dwelling place, and the dwelling place of his sons, Medai, after the name of their father, Medai. Check the chat here. Oh, nobody, huh? It's all good. I'll just continue. We'll stop. We'll stop at 13. Excuse me. Chapter 11. And in the 35th Jubilee, in the 3rd week, in the 1st year thereof, Ru took to himself a woman, and her name was Orah, the daughter of Ur, the son of Kesed. And she bore him a son, and he called his name Saroh, in the 7th year of this week, in this Jubilee. And the sons of Noah began to war on each other, and to take captive and to slay each other, and to shed the blood of men on the earth, and to eat blood, and to build strong cities and walls and towers. And individuals began to exalt themselves above the nation, and to found the beginnings of kingdoms, and to go to war, people against people, and nation against nation, and city against city. And all began to do evil, and to acquire arms, and to teach their sons war. And they began to capture cities, and to sell male and female slaves. And Ur, the son of Kesed, built the city of Ara on the Kasdim, and called its name after his own name, and the name of his father. And they made for themselves molten images, and they worshipped each the idol, the molten image which they had made for themselves. And they began to make graven images and unclean simulacra, and malignant Ruachoth assisted and seduced them into committing transgression and uncleanness. So this is where all that came about, like when we read about it. Because when you read Genesis and all that, it doesn't really explain any of the names of these cities, but they already know the names of these cities, and they're like, oh yeah, this is here and there, and that. Like, it's no big thing. This goes into detail on why these cities were named, and why people were in certain places, etc. And notice how it's these evil spirits that seduced everyone into doing all this again. This is wow. And the prince, excuse me, before I go on, but these evil spirits, they still haven't changed. They're still doing this exact same thing today. Only the masses are so just dumbed down. They don't even read regular scriptures, let alone the extra biblical or apocryphal books. So they have no idea. They're just being led astray by these spirits and have no idea. Anyway, and the prince Mastema exerted himself to do all this, and he sent forth other Ruachoth, those which were put under his hand, to do all manner of wrong and sin, and all manner of transgression, to corrupt and destroy, and to shed blood upon the earth. For this reason he called the name of Serug, for everyone turned to do all manner of sin and transgression. And he grew up and dwelt in Ur of the Kasdim, near to the father of his woman's mother. And he worshipped idols, and he took to himself a woman in the 36th Jubilee, in the 5th week, in the 1st year thereof. And her name was Milcah, the daughter of Kabur, the daughter of his father's brother. And she bore him Nahor in the 1st years of this week. And he grew and dwelt in Ur of the Kasdim. And his father taught him the researches of the Kasdim, to divine and augur according to the signs of heaven. And in the excuse me, and in the 37th Jubilee in the 6th week, in the 1st year thereof, he took to himself a woman, and her name was Iaska, the daughter of Nestag of the Kasdim. And she bore him Terach in the 7th year of this week. And the prince Mastema sent ravens and birds to devour the seed which was sown in the land, in order to destroy the land and rob the children of men of their labors. Before they could plow in the seed, the ravens picked it from the surface of the ground. For this reason he called his name Terah, because the ravens and the birds reduced them to destitution and devoured their seed. And the years began to be barren, owing to the birds, and they devoured all the fruit of the trees from the trees. And it was only with great effort that they could save a little of all the fruit of the earth in their days. And in this 39th Jubilee, in the 2nd week, in the 1st year, Terach took to himself a woman, and her name was Edna, the daughter of Evram, the daughter of his father's sister. And in the 7th year of this week, she bore him a son, and he called his name Avram, by the name of the father of his mother, for he had died before his daughter had conceived a son. The child began to understand the errors of the earth, that all went astray after graven images, after uncleanness, and his father taught him writing, and he was 2 weeks of years old. And he separated himself from his father, that he might not worship idols with him. So I'm sure you guys know who this is talking about now. And if you've watched all my videos, or at least the Apocalypse of Abraham and the Testimony of Abraham, you should definitely know that this is that Abraham. And he began to pray to the Creator of all things, that he might save him from the errors of the children of men. and that his portion should not fall into the air after uncleanness and vileness. And the seed time came for the sowing of the seed upon the land. And they all went forth together to protect their seed against the ravens. And Abram went forth with those that went. And the child was a lad of 14 years. And a cloud of ravens came to devour the seed, and Abram ran to meet them before they settled on the ground, and cried to them before they settled on the ground to devour the seed, and said, Descend not, return to the place whence ye came. And they proceeded to turn back. And he caused the clouds of ravens to turn back that day 70 times, and all of the ravens throughout all the land where Abram was there settled there, not so much as one. Meaning not one even settled there. And all who were with him throughout all the land saw him cry out, and all the ravens turned back, and his name became great in all the land of the Kasdim. And there came to him this year all those that wished to sow, and he went with them until the time of sowing ceased. And they sowed their land, and that year they brought enough grain home, and eat and were satisfied. And in the first year of the fifth week, Abram taught those who made implements for oxen, artificers in wood, and they made a vessel above ground, facing the frame of the plow, in order to put the seed thereon. Then the seed fell down therefrom upon the share of the plow, and was hidden in the earth, and they no longer feared ravens. Pretty interesting how Abraham taught how to make a plow and the straddles and such for oxen. He started it all. And after this manner they made vessels above the ground on all frames of the plows, and they sowed and tilled all the land according as Abram commanded them, and they no longer feared the birds. I just think this whole book is just so amazing, like so amazing. Chapter 12. And it came to pass in the 6th week, in the 7th year thereof, that Abram said to Terach his father, saying, Father. And he said, Behold, here am I, my son. And he said, What help and profit have we from those idols which you do worship, and before which you do bow yourself? Excuse me. For there is no ruach in them, for they are dumb forms, and a misleading of the heart. Worship them not. So if you're noticing the Apocalypse and the Testament of Abraham are lining up here with Jubilees. If you haven't watched those videos, please go back after this and watch them, and this will all line up. Worship the Elohim of heaven, who causes the rain and the dew to descend on the earth, and does everything upon the earth. And he has created everything by his word. And all life is from before his face. Why do you worship things that have no ruach in them? For they are the work of men's hands, and on your shoulders do you bear them. And ye have no help from them, but they are a great cause of shame to those who make them, and a misleading of the heart to those who worship them. worship them not. And his father said unto him, I also know it, my son. But what shall I do with a people who have made me to serve before them? And if I tell them the truth, they will slay me. For their soul cleaves to them to worship them and honor them. Keep silent, my son, lest they slay you. And these words he spoke to his two brothers. And they were angry with him, and he kept silent. And in the 40th Jubilee, in the 2nd week, in the seventh year thereof, Abram took to himself a woman, and her name was Sarai, the daughter of his father, and she became his woman. Excuse me. So, remember when he was saying, oh no, this is my sister, when he was going through Mitzrayim? Technically, it really was his sister, but and Haran, his brother, took to himself a woman in the 3rd year of the 3rd week, and she bore him a son in the 7th year of this week, and called his name Lot. And Nahor, his brother, took to himself a woman, and in the 60th year of the life of Abram, that is, in the 4th week, in the 4th year thereof, Abram arose by night, and burned the house of the idols. And he burned all that was in the house, and no man knew it. And they arose in the night, and sought to save their Elohim from the midst of the fire. And Haran hastened to save them, but the fire flamed over him, and he was burnt in the fire, and he died. And he died in Ur of the Kasdim, before Terach his father. And they buried him in Ur of the Kasdim. And Terach went forth from Ur of the Kasdim, he and his sons, to go into the land of Lebanon, and into the land of Canaan. And he dwelt in the land of Haran. And Abram dwelt with Terach his father in Haran 2 weeks of years. And in the 6th week, in the 5th year thereof, Abram sat up throughout the night on the new moon of the 7th month, to observe the stars from the evening to the morning, in order to see what would be the character of the year with regard to the rains. And he was alone, and he sat and observed. And a word came into his heart, and he said, all the signs of the stars, and the signs of the moon, and of the sun, are all in the hand of Yahweh. Why do I search them out? If he desires, he causes it to rain, morning and evening, and if he desires, he withholds it. And all things are in his hand. And he prayed that night, and said, my Elohim, El Elyon, you alone are my Elohim, and you and your dominion have I chosen, and you have created all things, and all things that are the work of your hands. Deliver me from the hands of evil Ruachath, who have dominion over the thoughts of men's hearts, and let them not lead me astray from you, my Elohim, and establish me and my seed forever, that we go not astray from henceforth and forevermore. So it's pretty amazing. Abraham's already, he's praying to him and everything, when everyone else around him is going after all these other gods. And he said, Shall I return unto Ur of the Kasdim, who seek my face, that I may return to them? Am I to remain here in this place? The right path before you prosper it prosper it in the hands of your servant, that he may fulfill it, and that I may not walk in the deceitfulness of my heart, O Elohai. Excuse me. And he made an end of speaking and praying, and behold, the word of Yahweh was sent to him. So look at that. The word of Yahweh was sent to him. Who is the word? That's Messiah. This part, it doesn't say an angel was sent to him or anything like that. Yahweh's angel, nothing like that. Because the word is not an angel. This straight up says the word of Yahweh was sent to him through me, saying, Get up from your country and from your kindred and from the house of your father unto a land which I will show you. And I shall make you a great and numerous nation. And I will bless you, and I will make your name great, and you shall be blessed in the earth. And in you shall all families of the earth be blessed. And I will bless them that bless you, and curse them that curse you. And I will be an Elohim to you and your son, and to your son's son, and to all your seed. Fear not. From henceforth unto all generations of the earth, I am your Elohim. And Yahweh Elohim said, Open his mouth and his ears, that he may hear and speak with his mouth, with the language which has been revealed. For it has ceased from the mouths of all the children of men from the day of the overthrow of Babel. So, interesting thing right here. They were all speaking Ivrit, or ancient Hebrew, which is Ivrit. And when he separated all the nations, he gave them all different languages and took away the Ivrit. Pretty amazing. You know, for people who toss out this book, they have obviously never have read it. They might have a cherry-picked line here or two, but they've never read it. Anyway. And I opened his mouth and his ears and his lips, and I began to speak with him in Ivrit, in the tongue of the creation. And he took the Sepharim of his fathers, and these were written in Ivrit, and he transcribed them, and he began from henceforth to study them. And I made known to him that which he could not understand. And he studied them during the 6 rainy months. So yeah, basically it explained everything I just explained. So they were all speaking Ivrit. And then he confused the languages and all that, and no one was even reading, writing, or speaking it until Abraham. And it came to pass in the 7th year of the 6th week that he spoke to his father and informed him that he would leave Haran to go into the land of Canaan, to see it and return to him. And Terach his father said unto him, Go in peace. May the eternal Elohim make your path straight, and Yahweh be with you, and protect you from all evil, and grant unto you grace, mercy, and favor before those who see you. And may none of the children of men have power over you to harm you. Go in peace. And if you see a land pleasant to your eyes to dwell in, then arise, and take me to you, and take Lot with you, the son of Haran, your brother, as your own son. Yahweh be with you. And Nahor, your brother, leave him with me until you return in peace, and we will go with you all together. Alright. Excuse me. So we're going to stop it right there. Pretty amazing stuff. You know, it just gives so much more depth to just Genesis alone. Genesis, Exodus, all that it's going to get into, but mainly Genesis. So really, honestly, I really should have started out with the entire book of Genesis first on my channel, and then the testaments of Abraham, and then the testaments of the 12 patriarchs, and then these books, because they just go right along and just explain so much. All those books alone just go into so much depth in the Genesis alone that it's just amazing, so amazing. People throw them out because they just listen to other people's opinions on them and have never actually read them. You know, I've read Jubilees a few times, and I've really only started to realize what it's actually saying this past year. Like, it's just like scripture, you know, you can read it once and then not even get anything. You're like, okay. That's why you gotta read everything more than once, really. I mean, sometimes there's extra biblical books and there's lines here and there that really don't match up, you know. But then there's a whole lot more in them that does match up. You know, chew the meat, spit the bones. Then there is extra biblical books that really don't line up at all. And that's just all bones. And you can totally tell the first time you read it. But these books, like, if you're unsure and you're not really sure, then you have to read it again and again. And like, that's what I do. And now I see it all. It's so amazing, just everything that comes into context. And I highly recommend everybody reading and testing everything on your own. Don't follow any man. Don't follow me. I'm not saying don't watch, you know, brothers and sisters channels. Don't watch them or listen to what they have to say. Just don't idolize them and then blindly follow them. You know, even test them. Test those ruachs, the Holy Spirit. Test everything. Test everything against what is written. You're not going to get in trouble for doing that because we're commanded to test everything. So, you know, I get attacked a lot. People, oh, you put yourself above everybody. You're self-righteous. You think you know more than me, like, etc., etc. No, it's not any of that. Trust me, it's not. I'm just trying to explain. Look at it for yourself. Just look at it for yourself. Test it. That's it. Anyways, I was meaning to do my testimony this week, but I just started delivering. Actually got a delivery job for Uber Eats as well, so I've been kind of busy doing that. But I've been working on it, so I'm not going to say this coming week, even though I want to, but hopefully within the next couple weeks, I'm going to be able to have my testimony and go live with it. So anyway, thank you for joining me. Join me next week, same time, same place. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share if you haven't already. I love all you guys, and I just love spreading His word and diving into Scripture. That's what I do. It's what I love. Thank you all. Have a blessed week. Have a blessed evening, and shalom.
Shema!